Hi everyone, my name's Claire Wallace and I'm the Occupational Therapy Lead at Pepper Kids Therapy. We're a multidisciplinary private allied health practice in Brisbane, Logan and the Gold Coast up in Queensland. We provide occupational therapy, speech pathology and psychology, as well as parent and family coaching programs. We are passionate about working with children and families. I remember my first role as a new graduate in 2004 and how important it was then for me to have the opportunity to join an organisation that had the ability to give me the support, training, encouragement, guidance and supervision that I needed when I started out in my career as a paediatric OT. One of the things I love about working for Pepper Kids Therapy is that now I get to provide that same high quality supervision and mentoring for occupational therapists. I get to see them grow and develop in their knowledge, skills and confidence. And I enjoy so much hearing about the progress and joy of the children and parents for whom they're making a difference. I love being a paediatric OT for many reasons. First of all, you get to see progress. Whether it's big or small, you're likely to be there for some of the firsts. And often these are a shared celebration with the family and the team around the child. When a child starts interacting and playing with other children, when a child has a successful transition to school, the immense joy and celebration when toilet training is finally successful. These are big moments. The first time a child looks at you with pride because they can now write their own name or tie their shoelaces by themselves. Even when there might be complex situations and significant challenges and progress might be smaller or slower, it's such a privilege to be able to be there for families so that they know they're not alone in their journey. You'll be remembered for the difference that you made in the child's life, as well as the parent's ability to better understand and parent their child. And it's such an honor to be invited into families' lives and have the opportunity to positively influence a child's development, which can have such long-reaching positive effects on their future achievements and quality of life. Another thing that I love about being a paediatric OT is that every child is so different and every family is unique. And the challenge is to always be collaborating and empowering parents and carers and giving them the tools and confidence to tackle every challenge so that their child can thrive. And it's so important that we work with parents and carers and teachers, because even if a child is accessing weekly therapy, that's only 1 hour of their week. Think about how many hours in the week a child can benefit from therapeutic strategies if we upskill their parents, carers, childcare, school teachers, to embed strategies into their daily routines. And it's said that a good therapist does themselves out of a job, which means that if we can truly work together with all of the important people in a child's life, then as therapists, we have the opportunity every day to actively contribute towards building communities that support, empower, include, and celebrate children and young adults with developmental delay and disabilities. I'm going to hand over to Vanessa now, who's a senior speech pathologist at Pepper Kids Therapy.
Thanks, Claire. I'm Vanessa Bond. I'm a senior speech pathologist at Pepper Kids Therapy, and I've been asked to talk a bit today about why I love being a speech pathologist, which is a topic that I could speak to 2 hours, but I've only been given a few minutes. So I thought that I'd tell you a couple of things that I love about my job and how they fit into the theme of lifelong learning, a term that probably came up a lot during studies and clinical placements, but what does that actually mean in the professional world? I've always been motivated to learn new things, and as a speech pathologist, that happens every single day. No 2 days at work are the same. Children I see could present with a range of needs, from articulation to feeding and meal times, language development to social skills, literacy skills to needing a method other than speech to communicate, which is known as augmentative and alternative communication, or AAC. While my area of strength is in feeding and meal times, I really enjoy seeing kids with a range of goals because it keeps my generalist skills current and it pushes me to keep learning and growing as a therapist. Another aspect of my job at Pepper Kids Therapy, which makes every day different, is providing support and supervision to new graduate and early career speech pathologists. This is a topic I am so passionate about. In fact, I went back to uni to do a grad cert in clinical education because I love it so much. I love getting to know speech pathologists, their personality, what their career aspirations are, what areas they're focusing on for skill development, and also what skills they already have in their toolbox. Everyone brings their own unique skills and perspective to their work, so I'm always learning new things from the people that I'm supervising. One of my favourite things is actually when someone asks me a question that I don't have the answer to, because it's then an opportunity for us to work through those steps to finding out the answers together. I also really love when we can take that one step further and have peer supervision with the whole speech pathology team. It's so fascinating to hear how other speech pathologists might tackle a problem, or even just to hear other therapists talk about what's their favourite toy and how do they use it in therapy. I find those conversations, they're so useful and they're so inspiring. And I truly believe that we're stronger together when we're sharing our ideas, knowledge, and experiences. We're also very fortunate at Pepper Kids Therapy to work closely between disciplines so that we can treat our clients holistically. The tips and skills that I've picked up from my occupational therapy colleagues regarding things like managing a child's sensory regulation, or from my psychologist colleagues, including ways to support emotional regulation in my sessions, they've really changed my approach to practice immeasurably. These ideas help my clients engage well in therapy and make the most out of their session. I'm always so interested to troubleshoot the issues with other disciplines because I just find myself surprised and amazed with their creative and thoughtful ideas that they have that are so different to the perspective that I'm coming from. The last and most important thing that I like about learning as a speech pathologist is the clients themselves. Building rapport and getting to know a child and their family allows me to hear about their own unique skills and challenges that every child has. It's an absolute privilege to work with children and their families to find out what motivates them, what they're interested in, what excites them, and then harness that in my approach to therapy. When we work together and collaborate, we're able to get the best outcomes. And I find a real sense of joy and purpose in my work from these interactions and learning opportunities. So on that note, I'd love to hand over to my colleague, the wonderful Sasha.
Hi everyone, my name is Sashel and I'm the provisional psychologist at Pepper Kids Therapy. Today I'd like to give you a little bit of information about my background and why I love being a pediatric clinician, why I enjoy being part of a multidisciplinary team, and my Pepper Kids journey. A few years ago, I graduated from Griffith University with a Bachelor's of Psychological Science and completed my postgraduate diploma last year with Bond University. I have studied for around 5 years and completed my thesis on the employability of people with bipolar disorder in the workplace. I remember being where you all are today, and I was so excited to be graduating and thinking about where my studies would take me. What I love most about being a pediatric provisional psychologist is that I have the opportunity to work with and help vulnerable children and families. It is a privilege to work with these families no matter where you go. Getting to be a part of their lives is so rewarding, and we are often improving and impacting them in a multitude of ways. I always enjoy that I get to work with a variety of age ranges. This is because when you are a pediatric clinician, you're often seeing the child, the parents, the siblings, and sometimes the grandparents. You spend your entire degree equipping yourself with the skills required to support these individuals, and getting to finally put those skills into practice and seeing them help people makes all the stress during my studies worth it. One of the great things about Pepper Kids is that our team consists of multiple disciplines, which include psychology, speech pathology, and occupational therapy. I used to work within the NDIS during my postgraduate studies, and during my time there, I was able to observe therapists who are often part of multidisciplinary teams. It was interesting to see the comparison between clinicians who were a part of these teams and who were not. When you're a part of the multidisciplinary teams, it adds a whole other level of support to not only yourself as the clinician, but also to the family. For example, recently I worked with a shared client between myself and an occupational therapist who suffered from severe anxiety. During a huddle, which is a multidisciplinary catch-up, we were able to create a supportive session plan to better assist with the transitioning of this client into the therapy space. The family were very grateful as their child had the most successful therapy session that they had in a while. Each day we have access to multidisciplinary huddles at Pepper Kids thanks to a scheduled Super Ghost hour where we can plan any multidisciplinary huddles or catch up on administration. This is where we can collaborate and exchange information to help answer questions relating to the client we are both supporting, which the families seem to appreciate. I look forward to my journey with Pepper Kids Therapy and honestly feel well supported in my new role. Pepper Kids have been very accommodating to my 4+2 internship as a provisional psychologist. Some of you may not be aware, but to fulfill my internship requirements, I need to complete a series of professional development hours, supervision, and many other assessment-based tasks. Pepper Kids are big on supporting the improvement of their therapists and give clinicians PD budgets to complete any relevant training that may assist us in becoming better clinicians for our families. One of my professional goals is to become proficient in a variety of interventions such as play therapy, trauma-focused CBT, attachment interventions like circle of security, and many more. Recently, I've completed a PD course on motivational interviewing, which has been really helpful with my resistant clients. To be able to inspire motivation to change in an adolescent who hated being here, whilst using the techniques I have learned during this course, has been a big career milestone for me. I have no doubt that Pepper Kids will assist me in accomplishing these goals throughout the next few years, which will also assist me in registering as a psychologist at the end of my internship. Now I'll hand over to Sam, who's the principal at Pepper Kids Therapy.
Hi, everybody. Claire, Vanessa, and Sash have provided a wonderful insight into what life as a new grad in the allied health space can look like, as well as what a rewarding and successful career can be. As principal of Pepper Kids, community outreach is the passion of my life. Volunteer, not-for-profit, and community outreach has always been a part of my life. My father in the 50s and 60s in his younger years worked across Australia after the Great Depression, rebuilding local communities, and spent his life volunteering, and was supported closely by my mother. Their example left a lasting impact on me, and their legacy has impacted each of my siblings. My community outreach efforts have taken me to faraway places where I've had the great joy of leaving a lasting impact in communities, especially those affected by natural disasters. Some of my fondest memories are seeing the smiles on the faces of children who experience such hardship but still are able to find joy. The best cricket match of my life was in a faraway place in India, where I played a game of cricket with children using homemade equipment. They called me Brett Lee, and though conditions were tough, for that brief moment that we were engaged in cricket together, we forgot about the circumstances that we found ourselves in, and we found joy together. Since being established in Australia and due to COVID and starting my own family, my attention has turned to the needs of children in the local community. What started this year as a small clinic with a handful of therapists has led to us already doubling the size of our clinic here in 8 Mile Plains, and us establishing 3 new clinics in Brendale, Loganholme, and the Gold Coast, with now many therapists as part of our team. What has led to this success? Supporting our therapists. We believe that when people love their work, the best outcomes for families are achieved. I love my work and I love children. Playing even a small part in the lives of precious ones is so fulfilling. We're a multidisciplinary organisation, and we believe in the power of that. The collaboration involved leads to enhanced outcomes for children. We also believe in the power of sensory rooms and have that dedicated space in all of our clinics. In all of my outreach, in all of my giving, I have found great joy in providing service to others. And that is the philosophy that we recruit on at Pepper Kids, and that is our culture. Evidence-based practice, a love for children, supporting our therapists, and sincerely seeking to help families in the community. Whether you end up working for Pepper Kids or elsewhere, I wish to express my heartfelt gratitude for the noble career you are undertaking in allied health, and to thank you for the impact you will make in the lives of our precious children. I'd love to invite people to ask questions, and otherwise I've got a couple of questions for some of the therapists myself.
Thanks so much, team. We've got a question that's come through from one of the students on the call. So mention that, do you have any offices, or do you have co-create support in New South Wales, in Sydney, in that therapy session?
Our offices are based in Southeast Queensland at the moment. We do telehealth sessions with sister organisations in New South Wales where waiting lists are long, but at the moment there's no Pepper Kids Therapy in New South Wales, but watch this space.
That's the main question we've got for now, Sam. If you wanted to ask your questions.
Or you could always move up to sunny Queensland.
Chuckles in the background as well.
I'd love to ask Claire, our lead OT, what are some of the exciting aspects the NDIS has brought to the role of an OT, and what are some of the challenges of the NDIS?
Thanks, Sam. I think the NDIS is wonderful because it means that children and young people and adults as well, some of them are getting access to therapy for the first time ever. And I think that's fantastic, particularly children being able to access the NDIS at very young ages, perhaps even before they receive a diagnosis, so that they get the full benefit of early intervention. In terms of the challenges, because it's still such a new, widespread, nationwide reform, I think coming in as a new graduate, there's a lot to learn and familiarise yourself with, and to understand the part you play as a provider in terms of the NDIS. So that's why it's really important to have that supervision to support you to understand more and how you can play an important part in that.
Great. Thank you, Claire. Sorry, we're just playing a little bit of musical chairs here. I'd like to invite Vanessa to tell us what she thinks are the most important qualities for someone to excel as a speech pathologist.
Well, there are so many things. That's such a great question. But I think one of the things that comes up a lot is that speech pathologists are a real type of person, and often that's quite type A, and they like to be prepared and sort of ready for what's coming for them. And so I think actually the other side of that is true to excel in speech pathology. You need to really learn how to let loose and be flexible. You know, sometimes a child might come in for this session that you've meticulously planned, and they're having an off day, and none of that you've planned is going to work, and you have to figure out where to go from there. And those are the moments I think that are really important for families as well. Another area that I think would be great is to find areas of practice that you really are passionate about and that you believe in, because then all of that learning and skill development that you're going to be doing is an absolute joy. The other thing that I think might help is finding a really great team. Certainly, as a therapist, I've found that so much of the learning that I've done and so much of the skills that I've developed has been about the people around me and the people I'm surrounding myself with and the things that I can learn from them. So I think that's another really important thing for excelling as a speech pathologist, is having a strong support network around you.
Great. Thank you, Vanessa. And my final question, Elliot, if I can,
sure,
is for Sash. What is one thing a new grad in allied health should ask any potential employer, and why?
Hi, it's me again.
I love this format. It's so good.
I know, right? So what I think is really important to find out is to just make sure that you know your values as a clinician and that they align with the clinic's values as well. I feel like during your studies, you figure out what kind of clinician you would like to be, and making sure that you share the same vision as the clinic makes for a really good team going forward. So I would just say figure out your values and what you're looking to work with when moving forward with the clinic. I'd also want to know what kind of support the clinic is providing in terms of PD and supervision and whatnot. I think it's important to know what the clinic's plans are for taking on a new grad and what the workload might look like and how they're going to ease you in. I have felt really supported at Pepper Kids. I've had a low caseload to begin with, which has been really helpful, and then progressed further as I have developed as a practitioner. So that's what I would look for. Yeah. Bye.
Thanks so much, team.
Thank you.
We'll leave it open for
any questions for us?
couple of minutes. Just see if there's any questions that come through. They may or may not. They might be divulging all this information and be asking questions later. But look, I appreciate you all. And I really like the fact that you just did it face to face. I really like that style of presentation. So kudos to you. Because
thank you.
Most people.
This is who we are. What's and all.
I really like that. You get the whole team involved as well. It's great.
Genuine in what we're trying to achieve here. So
No, that's
Thank
brilliant.
you to everybody.
No worries. Well, thanks so much. I hadn't seen any questions come through. What I've done, I've shared the link, so they've got access to your, to register their interest for that particular role, and any roles you've got live at the moment, I've shared that with them as well.
Great. Thank you.
Brilliant. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Sam. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Much appreciated. Thank you all.
Bye.